Welcome to Keep It Clean for Happier You. I'm your host, Nikki Tamboulidis. Thank you for joining the conversation on how you and I can make a positive impact on our environment at home and on a global scale. Yes, we can. Here is how. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and many thanks to our guests. I'm your host, Nikki. What are we talking about? Our topic, how to save money and reduce waste. Cheryl Baldwin and Rachel Schnabel. Welcome and thank you for being here. So, getting back to Rachel about the answer, if the one-stream recycling is a good thing, the way I see it as a layperson, it's going back to what Cheryl said. People are not clear as a clear definition of what a one-stream is, and they pack everything up. Right. Guilty as charged. So what is Cheryl mentioned it's newspapers, it's cans, it's bottles.
Right. So one common thing that people will put in that they have no idea that they should not put in. Well, yeah, packaging, but also plastic bags. You know, people use their plastic bags to put their recyclables in and then they put it in. Mm-hmm. Well, plastic bags can actually tangle the equipment at the sorting facility. And that's not something that they are recycling. If you want to recycle your plastic bags and your packaging materials, you need to go to a facility that has a drop-off station. And when I say facility, I mean stores. So yeah. One thing that's been very interesting that's been coming out in the news is that some drop-off stations, there was a study done where they put microchips on plastic bags, and then they put them at drop-off stations in Walmarts and Targets in various states of the country. And of the, I don't remember how many it was, maybe one or two actually made it to a place where it was recycled.
Amazing.
Yeah. And there used to be a map that showed you all the different places where you could drop off plastic film and your plastic bags. And they didn't feel comfortable having that map anymore because they couldn't verify that things were being recycled. But one thing that they did state when they decided to take the map down is that the next Trex program is a reliable program. So you know that composite decking that you can buy? That's made with recycled plastic packaging and plastic bags. And so if you go to their website, you can see which stores are participants in that program. I know in my town, Ocean State Job Lot, Stop and Shop, Big Y, there may be Kohl's.
Price Chopper.
Yeah. Price Chopper.
IKEA.
Mm-hmm. See, Cheryl knows all.
You guys are like the perfect.
But just to dovetail, so what Rachel's talking about is the plastic film recycling program, mm-hmm. which brings up the also issue of single stream. There are so many different recycling programs, and are often in the industry, we call it the blue bin program, which is where we put our bottles and cans and paper. Yes. But the plastic film recycling program is a separate thing. Mm-hmm. That includes everything from plastic bags to bubble wrap to those Amazon bubble wrap envelopes to, let's see, I'm spacing out. It includes bread bags. It includes sort of those vegetable bags you would get at the grocery store, et cetera. Yes. And it's all acceptable in participating retail stores, just like what Rachel was saying. And they are often made into plastic composites. Sometimes it's even made into shopping carts, which I think is funny. Ooh. That sort of full circle.
Yeah.
What can I do at home to help with waste problem?
Go to recyclect.com. Recyclect.com is a webpage that talks about what's in and what's out. It helps you understand what materials are accepted in your mixed recycling program, and if it's not accepted, what are your options? Again, multiple different types of recycling programs. Did you know that all of our T-shirts are recyclable? But that doesn't mean they're acceptable in the blue bin, right? Different program. There's a whole separate textile recycling program where you can collect clothing, linens, and plush toys, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you go to Recycle CT, there's a couple of things. One, you can download and print your own flyer or poster. There's also a search tool called the Recycle CT Wizard. And on the Recycle CT Wizard, you can type in the material that you have a question about. You can also download the Recycle CT Wizard app, Google or Apple, and ask the same question. The app comes in, I think it's like 12 different languages, which is great. And this search tool can be put on anybody's webpage. And so does Manchester have it on their webpage?
I think for logistical reasons, we just have a link to the webpage to make it easier. But we definitely direct everybody there. I get questions all the time, and sometimes they're really tricky, so I will use the wizard myself.
That's so interesting, because with the advent of technology and Google and everything else, we say, oh, we don't know what to do. Well, it's right there. And I'm guilty too, because I'm like, well, I don't know what I can recycle. Well, what Cheryl said, go check it out and just put the material that you want to recycle, and it will give you the answer.
And if you're a person that, in terms of your listeners, if you're engaged in your town activities, you can actually invite me out and do a workshop. I can say not only do I help you not feel guilty if you've been doing it wrong before.
Because that's me.
But I have helped a number of marriages, because that's where the fighting begins.
This is true. I've had some couples come up to me when I'm tabling at a farmer's market or an event like that, where one of them's, can you recycle a pizza box? Because I say yes and he says no.
But this is a very good point that you mentioned. If the pizza bottle is stained, it's not recyclable.
Incorrect.
Really? Okay.
So pre-2017, we didn't have what's in, what's out. Every town had their own guidelines, and every town understood or misunderstood what was being said. It was what we call inconsistent messaging.
Yes.
So in 2017, I met with all the materials recovery facility operators. We also call them MRFs, materials recovery facilities. It's easier just to say MRF. I met with all the operators, and I posed 3 questions. As we looked at every single item we could think about, every single product that comes out of our homes. 1, is this material a problem and dangerous to your staff? As it comes down the line, because if you're not familiar, there's a lot of videos about materials recovery facilities on YouTube, but all of our recyclables get dumped on the floor, and then they get pushed into a conveyor belt. And people, our friends and neighbors, pick out contamination. And they are the front line. So if we have something unsafe in our recyclables, we need to make sure it's not there. And then the second question was,
great point.
Is this unsafe to your equipment? In that case, what Rachel was saying was about bags, is all the bags get tangled. Well, it's not just that they get tangled. It makes that the equipment is no longer efficient, so it can no longer separate everything. And manually, you need to cut all of that off. So what does that mean? Yes, staff, men usually, jump into the machine. It's turned off, but they have to still jump into the machine
fix it
with all these knives, and they have to manually cut it off.
Yes.
They have to do that 3 times a day because of bags. So if anybody runs a business out there and you have to shut off your manufacturing line, you think that costs money?
Absolutely.
Well, that's why our recyclables are increasing in prices, because we need to do better. And then the third question I posed is, are there any materials coming through that reduce the value of your materials? So recycling isn't just that we put things on the curb or bring them to the transfer station. They have to go to the materials recovery facility, where they're sorted into different, basically into the separate, categories again.
Of what they are.
All the paper, all the cardboard, all the plastic bottles, all the glass bottles, etc. And then they sell it, because it's a commodity at that point. It becomes a raw material that others can make into a new product. And so they have to make it clean enough and
that it's
precise
not
enough.
contaminated.
That's right. So they can sell it to their end markets for those manufacturers to use it. So when you start going through the list, I say, well, what about this? And they're yeah, we can take that. And then what about this? And they're like, well, to be honest, that really messes us up. So plastic bags is one of the number one contaminants.
Okay.
But other things we hadn't anticipated, everything from shredded paper. Now, a lot of towns used to take shredded paper. And if you ask the facilities then, they're like, well, sure, we can handle it. And I'm like, I don't want to know if you can handle it. Do you want it? Does it cause problems to your staff, to your equipment, and can you sell it? And then they're like, no, it's a pain in the tush. The shredded paper. And it's really because whether it's in a plastic bag, which is already a problem, or a paper bag, usually what happens is it gets pushed, right, conveyor belt, and it becomes airborne. And when you visited the facilities at that time, which
you realize what's the problem?
Air quality was awful. And all that little bits and pieces of paper get in everything, and they contaminate everything. So great example. Is shredded paper recyclable? You bet. But is it acceptable in this program? No. And so we encourage municipalities and towns and cities to create a separate program. And so they usually have an annual shredding event. Many towns do. I know New Haven provides one as well. Right. And usually the contractor accepts pre-shredded paper.
So can I ask you, I know I'm slow. Does that pizza bottle,
Oh, I forgot to answer that question.
Is recyclable if it's stained or not?
So, no food, but grease is okay.
Okay.
So, it's not just about the lid,
so
it's not about the bottom. Yeah, eat the cheese or scrape off the cheese. You have to eat the anchovies. I'm assuming you do eat your anchovies.
Being that I'm Greek. Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're listening to Keep It Clean for Happier You podcast. To listen anytime, go to dirtdirtgoaway.com. Also, you can live stream online at radio1400.am every Saturday.
This is a question for both of you, for Cheryl and Rachel. How can we all do more when it comes to the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Is there more we can do, or we're not doing the 3 R's effectively?
We can absolutely do more. So one thing that I've been trying to point out is that the way our culture has shifted is we have become a throwaway society. Mm-hmm. We buy things that are cheap, they break, we throw them out, we just buy another thing. It used to be that when something broke,
we fixed it.
Yes, we fixed it.
Yes.
And you know what? There are still repair shops out there that can fix all kinds of things.
Yes.
So one thing you can do is if something's broken, get it fixed. Another thing is, yes, it might be cheap to buy something, but if you're only going to use it once, is there a place where you can rent it? So renting is a great resource.
They sell a lot of shampoo, rug shampoos that you can rent from Stop and Shop, and I think Stop and Shop used to, but...
Yeah, and tools. Tools are a great thing to rent. It's funny because you say the 3 R's, but there's really 6 now. It's rethink, refuse, repair, reuse, reduce, recycle. I don't think I said them in the right order.
No, but rethink is...
Repurpose might be one.
Yeah, repurpose. They're thinking of adding compost separately as rot. But technically, compost is a form of recycling because you're taking your food waste, the organic material, you're turning it into compost so it can be used to grow new things. So that's a form of recycling.
So we can do more.
We can absolutely do more.
And I want to point out, since we're sitting in a library,
yes,
libraries are the perfect example of sharing. Now, you had said something about renting. Same idea. But, of course, most of our libraries are free. And libraries are much more than just books, right? They still have CDs and videos and, yes, VHS. And a lot of libraries have also expanded. Some libraries have a tool library section. Sometimes they'll have record albums, believe it or not, the old school. And then I've heard of libraries that offer art, and you can borrow art for a month. A lot of times they'll, I think New Haven, I don't know if they still have it, but they used to do cookware. So say you were doing a birthday party and you needed that weird
Pot.
Disney shape or something to make a cake, but you didn't want to buy it. And so, but there's lots of opportunities through sharing in libraries as well.
Absolutely. I'm part of a book club, and it blows my mind that most of the members buy a new book every time.
Guilty.
We go to read the next book, and you don't even know that you're going to like it, and all of a sudden you have this book. I go to my library. I love my library. They have
And you
so
save
many
money,
resources.
too.
You save money, and what's great is a lot of libraries are connected. So if that library doesn't have the book,
They'll order it.
they'll get it from one of the other libraries.
They also have books online, too.
Yeah.
All of our libraries have
Yeah.
great access to things online. For those of you that like to read on screens, I do still like paper.
Me too.
I just want to pick up with what Rachel and Cheryl is talking about. I am guilty as charged when it comes to books because I want to own my books, and I need therapy with the books because I have to have my books, and I have too many books upstairs, downstairs, everywhere in my house, even in the bathrooms. So I need to get help. But before that, getting ready for the show, I stumbled across a company. It's called the Buy Nothing, Get Everything Plan. And frankly, they even recycled, they sent me the book, and it's from a library, and they sent me the flyer inside that you can share your books. So it's fascinating because I was not aware. And this is the one that picks up with what Rachel said. We keep buying things and we don't have people fixing it. Mm-hmm. And on the show that we did with the bottle return, I was mentioning that my blow dry died, and I was in Greece, in Athens, and I said to my dad, just go get me another blow dryer because my hair was very long at the time, and it was a cold day. And my dad said, yeah, give me the blow dryer. So he came back in a half hour, and he had fixed it. So I said, Dad, isn't it expensive? He goes, no, I spent a couple of, euros they have now in Greece. I don't even know if that was euros or drachmas, whatever the case may be. It was a few pennies, so to speak, comparing to buying. So that's how they're doing better, Greece, than United States when it comes to recycling, because they cannot afford to buy even the cheap stuff.
I think repairing is definitely
Cheryl,
sort of increasing in a trend. In the sense that more towns are actually coordinating repair clinics and repair events. And I think the biggest challenge we face as a society is that there are many people not like your father, in the sense that a lot of us don't know how to repair things. And so some repair clinics just repair your stuff, but many repair clinics are now teaching you how to repair your item, which is giving us all new skill sets that we may not always have. And it's not only like electronics like your hair dryer, but it also includes sewing or lamps, things of that nature.
Even I was talking to my producer because he called me for the show and we were getting ready. And I said, and I was stressed out. My copy machine is not working. And I'm like thinking, okay, how much it was going to take me to order one to get it in, and I'm going to throw this out. It was a new copy machine, but we don't have labor doing, because that is also very good for the environment to have labor fixing shoes, fixing electronics. By the way, my dad took the blow dry to an electrician in Greece. My dad doesn't even know how to
I was going to say
screw a light bulb.
My husband fixed my hair straightener, but he's an engineer. So
no, my dad.
Do you have a friend who's an engineer?
No, my dad's an economist, was an economist. He passed away. But all I'm saying is he gave it to an electrician. But in Greece, all these people they're available because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. Here, if I go give my blow dryer, find somebody, an electrician, he would call some mental institution to lock me up because he would be like, listen, lady, go buy a new blow dryer. What do you think? I'm going to sit here and play with your blow dryer? It's not something that we do as a society. We're a throwaway society. We're a consumer society, and we keep buying stuff.
Part of the problem, too, is that manufacturers want us to buy stuff that cannot be repaired. And now I'm spacing on the term, but it's like obsolescence. It's sort of like forced obsolescence. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember learning in history class back in, I think, middle school, that when refrigerators were first made, they were made so well that once everybody had one, they weren't selling anymore.
I don't remember ever my parents' refrigerator dying. I don't know. I don't remember ever.
And now, how often do you get a new phone?
A new phone, a new refrigerator. And Cheryl, you're right.
And it's
how
because
often?
they want us to buy a new phone.
Yes.
In fact, in many cases, it's almost impossible to repair your phone.
Oh, yes.
There is a group, and I've been trying to remember the name of it, and I can't. But they actually go in and sort of deconstruct or dismantle phones and other electronics to figure out how to repair it so that they then can tell us how to repair it. And that's because you're often going against copyright laws that prevent you from fixing your own items. It's sort of like cars.
Yeah.
You're probably not old enough, Rachel, but some of us may be old enough to remember that you used to not be able to repair your own car. And then I think it was in the 70s, I think Massachusetts has the first law, where you remember there were the repair manuals that came out so you could figure out how to repair your car. I remember buying one. You know, it's like you bought your truck, I had a pickup truck, and it's like it taught you how to like change, you know, your valve or your carburetor or whatever. But, you know, it's impossible to do that now because everything's electronic.
Yeah.
And everything is copyrighted.
And also, because my brother's an engineer, and he used to tell me that there are certain companies, car companies, they make their parts attached to another part, so you cannot get one part. You have to get the whole thing, the whole, like, section of whatever it is that needs to be replaced, instead of being more efficient and zooming down to that one item that has a problem in a car. So picking up with what Cheryl's saying.
And it's an interesting thing. It's like when Rachel was talking about the 6 R's and sort of reuse, repair, rent, etc. Cars are a great example of things that we're willing to repair.
Yes.
So we see the value of repairing cars. We see the value of repairing our homes. But we don't always see the value of repairing appliances or a pair of shorts or a dress or something. And so it's also a value issue for reuse and repurposing.
How to save money and reduce waste. It's another way to save money.
It's a value issue.
It's a value.
Yeah. And so when you brought up this book, The Buy Nothing, there are Facebook groups called Buy Nothing, and they're usually by neighborhood.
Yes.
And so people put out, especially I see a lot of parents on there because, you know, babies grow out of their stuff so quickly.
And they're all new.
And they're all, so there's a lot of, you know, you just hashtag it, you know, give or gift, and they list items that are available, and then you can take them. And
you can join. I joined yesterday because, you know, I hadn't had time to read the book. I just scanned through it. And I joined, and it's free.
Yep.
To join the Buy Nothing group. And apparently it's like all over the place.
It is. I think there's probably a lot of them in Connecticut.
Yeah, there's 2 in Manchester alone.
Yeah, there used to be Free Cycle, and now Buy Nothing is really the new thing.
Right, and what's great about it is you're not paying for the things that are posted. It's all about giving to each other. It's being a community and not throwing things away, but finding
reducing
another
waste.
Use. Yes, reducing waste.
It's also sort of responsible donation because we have a lot of stuff that has value that we may not want. And it's not about just dumping on nonprofits or, you know, charities. It's really about making sure that
it goes to the right
organization. Because if you have an old musical instrument, you don't give it to the people that are reselling sports equipment.
Right.
You know, there's.
No, that's so
that one's
true.
obvious, but that was to make my point.
No, it's.
So one thing that Manchester does is we have So we have a web page called the Sustainable Waste Management page. The quick way of getting there is you go to our sanitation page at Manchester.
We're going to post everything online, by the way.
Okay, great. manchesterct.gov/sanitation. And then you select Sustainable Waste Management. And you'll see there's a tab for all of the different R's. If you go to the reuse tab, one of the things we do is we actually list out, we have a ton of annual tag sales that are hosted by nonprofits in town, including a town-wide tag sale that I believe it's our Manchester Women's Club hosts. So anybody can have their house added to a map, and you just pay a small fee. I think it's, I want to say $20. And so that one day, everybody in town is having a tag sale, so you can go all around town.
You're kidding.
I love that.
What a great idea. Because you never know. The thing is, when it comes to clothing, we all want the new and shiny stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was talking earlier at another show that Paragonia, which is a sports fancy clothing store, has within its store, if you go online, it has a thrift shop for his own clothes.
And they repair if you have your favorite whatever that you bought from them, they'll do the repair work as well.
So we're talking like they want to be actively involved in the environment. They no longer want to support, they want to be active. And that's their new logo, which I forgot exactly right now what it is, but it's involving participate, no, but being actively involved. So that's how important it is for them to even recycle their own clothes.
Yeah, they even make clothing with recycled materials as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they still do, but they used to have a small grants program, and I know they used to fund Save the Sound for their beach cleanups.
Oh.
Because as much as we try to reduce, there's always seems to be litter. And so it's a great service that they provide us.
And many thanks to our guests, Cheryl Baldwin and Rachel Schnabel.
Join us next week as we continue our conversation with our guests. We came to the end of the show. Keep it clean for happier you. I'm your host, Nikki Tamboulidis. Together with my team, we're working on more exciting conversations on how each one of us can make a difference at home and on a global scale. Yes, we can. Bye for now.
At Keep It Clean for Happier You, we'd love to hear from you. For your comments and questions, use contact form at dirtdirtgoaway.com or text Nikki, text only, at 203-581-3446. That's 203-581-3446. We will be here every Saturday. Tune in to Keep It Clean for Happier You podcast. You can live stream online at radio1400.am every Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. and listen anytime at dirtdirtgoaway.com.